What's the absolute worst piece of advice you ever received? It's better to keep your mouth shut no matter what. Yeah, if I didn't keep my mouth shut then I would not have taken a beating from a group of guys in order to take the fall for a friend who pissed the group off. Snitches get stitches. No, people who don't fess up also get stitches sometimes. Like yeah, you just solved all my problems. I'd never thought about that myself. You only need C's to graduate. Community college will take you. Thanks mom. Look for a man who will be a good father to your kids. Love is a delusion and attraction doesn't last, said to me by my aunt when I was a teenager. My dad immediately replied, if her kids have a bad father, they'll at least have a good mother. Let her love and be loved. I mean, I understand where she was coming from, and I know attraction fades, but the idea that I have to look for a life partner based on something impossible to prove, like being a good father unless he already has children instead of love and attraction, was jarring to say the least. In college I broke up with my girlfriend over the summer despite it being the wrong decision. She was the sweetest, most loving girl I'd ever met. She sent me a package of really thoughtful gifts for my birthday and I was going to call her and thank her. I honestly think we would have gotten back together. My roommate convinced me I shouldn't call her and give her false hope. I felt horrible and didn't call. I still regret that to this day. Just have a baby and see how you like it. If you don't, you won't have to have another one. My mom, when I told her I absolutely do not want kids in the future, it's not as easy as buying something at the store and returning it if you're not satisfied. This advice has the potential to up not one, but two lives. Kids tend to pick up on whether or not they're unwanted. You don't have to pay medical bills. Just tell them you can't pay them and ignore their calls. My mom told me this before I knew what credit was. Now I can't rent an apartment or get a decent loan for a car, thanks mom. Don't worry about how much you take out for a student loan. The interest is so low it will be easy to pay off. A 2-year degree in computers. That's the stupidest thing I've ever heard. Nobody uses them because nobody can afford them. Focus on 4 years of English Lit. Advice from an unnamed source in 1990. However, my internet shitposts are top-notch. Back when originally job seeking, pretty much everything my parents told me to do. Like sure, it may have worked in your day to give them a slip of paper with your name and the words reliable and keen, but most major chain stores hire through an online form these days. People are monsters, so you better settle with whoever you can. No thanks mother, I don't wanna end up with 4 kids and 7 failed relationships and an abusive on and off boyfriend who walks all over me because I let him. If anyone is ever stupid enough to think they love you in spite of how you look, you'd better stick with them for life because it will never happen again. Thanks mom. That sure didn't lead to a pattern of incredibly dangerous and abusive relationships I couldn't break until my mid-30s. Maybe the auditory hallucinations are God talking to you. Listen to him. No, Emily, I have a psychotic disorder. Don't tell me to listen to any of that. My dad told me to get a goddamn balloon lease on a car as soon as I graduated college. I had no idea what was going on and thought I'd bought the car. Imagine my surprise 4 years later when not only did I own 0 cars, I also owed $20,000 or had to get a new car. My finances for years. My dad is not good with money. My grandmother always used to tell me you can never be too rich or too thin. Which is just questionable all around really. Never being too thin is definitely bullshit, though I wouldn't mind feeling that oh I have too much money. Better stop now sensation from time to time. I had never had a boyfriend before and my friend told me it's because I'm too intimidating and I should dumb it down when talking to men to make them like me more. I'm really glad that you know this is bad advice. Like, seriously. Never make friends with your coworkers. If I didn't make friends with coworkers I'd have a lot less friends. I spend so much of my life with them that having a good group of friends you work with makes work so much more bearable. Condoms don't work. My dad during his sex talk with me. If a boy is mean to you that means he really likes you. Thanks for that one auntie. Totally didn't f me up at 7 years old when I told you a classmate punched me in the nose. To hit my abusive father back. Got multiple broken ribs the one time I listened to that advice. Dude, I've looked through your profile. You need to get the f out of there, man. Call the police or something. You're a goddamn grown-ass man. You don't need them anymore. This may not be the worst advice I've ever received, but it certainly irritates me to hear it. As long as you sound like you know what you're talking about, people won't question it. Maybe it's true, but I'm not really all that interested in perpetuating bullshit. The more people that know the truth about things, the better off we all are. Had a therapist tell me I should not let emotional, psychological abuse bother me, so I could let toxic family members back in my life and they could keep abusing me but it wouldn't bother me. WTF. That's a terrible therapist. Her advice is basically, have you tried not having this problem? Break up with her. She's not worth it. Nobody has the right to treat you that way. ... Because my wife and I disagreed over who should do the laundry. Thanks. Reddit. Once got some DMs on Reddit from someone who tried to convert me to Mormonism after they found out I was suicidal. Second worst would be someone who told me to smuggle psychedelic mushrooms into my college, which is in another country by the way, and trip on those as a means of treating my depression. Forgive and forget. My family has always said this and it only kept abusive people in my life. They were never held accountable for their actions and I was supposed to forgive them and never bring it up again because they're family. Cutting out toxic family members and remembering why I did it was the best thing I've ever done for myself. I feel like forgive and forget should mean forgive them, then forget they exist. I was told to stop being so sensitive after pouring my heart out to my best friend about something she was doing that was hurting me. I ended that friendship on good terms a few months later. By the way, I agree that in certain cases you gotta be insensitive to protect yourself. But in that given situation, she was basically telling me to not be myself and share my true feelings with her because my paragraphs were annoying. Taking Zoloft will help your disgusting porn addiction. I'll just tell your mom you're depressed and prescribe it to you. My first therapist I had when I was 13 to 14 years old and hypersexual from childhood sexual abuse. I was told multiple times by her family that having a child would help fix our marriage. You'll both be focused on the kid. It'll help you bond. When I explained that I didn't want to bring a child into an unstable environment based on a gamble, the prevailing thought was that I was being selfish. Unreal. If you have a bicycle, saw it in half and get 2 unicycles. Advice from an honest hobo in San Francisco holding a sign that said $1 for bad advice. I'm selling my house. My new house will be ready in 3 weeks. My mother told me not to sell to someone who is going to put a pool in my already beautiful backyard. Heal. I'm selling to whoever will pay me what I'm asking. Find it odd your mom is really against you digging around in the backyard. Anyone go missing recently? Take acid if you're cramming for a test beforehand since it helps with studying. Yeah, I just love losing my mind when I look down at equations and they're suddenly moving hieroglyphics. Don't worry about the cost of the wedding, you'll make it back in the gifts. Didn't know I could pay my rent in sandwich makers. Don't worry about what your Southern Ivy Law School costs. The name will get you good jobs and you'll be able to pay off the debt in a few years. 25 years later, I could pay off the loan amount or buy a new Prius outright. My mother's best friend was told a bad father is better than no father by her therapist when she was getting a divorce with a child. He ended up beating the ever-living shit out of his daughter her entire childhood and causing her to put herself in extremely dangerous situations that eventually led to her being trafficked. Some people you should just cut off no matter how they're related to you. He's actually in jail for murder now, and this isn't even the first one. If you are worried about not lasting long, have a tactical wank 15 minutes before. The only bad advice was 15 minutes before. That's not nearly enough time. Plan ahead and take care of that 6 to 12 hours before. Better hurry up and get married. You'll be 30 soon and then men won't care about you anymore. Joke's on you idiot, men already don't care about me. If someone bullies you, just tell a teacher. I have a great one. In high school I joined the football team my freshman year. There was a giant senior who played fullback and was one of the physical strongest players we had. Dude was jacked. He dead serious told me that if you work out hard enough and get big enough muscles that bullets couldn't make it through them. He really believed that bullets couldn't kill you if you were jacked enough. He was a bit dumb, told me this in a freshman class he had to take as a senior. Nothing mentally wrong with him. He just didn't devote much time to anything other than lifting and football. Nice guy though. From my dad, go to the pub and start a fight thinking it would somehow help my social life. You only need to feed newborns once a day. What? If that girl rejects you, just keep trying. She will give you a chance eventually. For the record, I didn't follow the advice because even if I was 13 back then I knew that was a terrible advice. Thanks Grandpa. Start of my relationship with my me, her. It's just the way girls talk. We speak and listen at the same time. Me, asterisk does what she says. Her. OMFG, me, asterisk now I can't stop. And I see I annoy a lot of other people in my life. And rightfully so, asterisk send help. Your dog came from an abusive household and is shy around people. I suggest starving him for a few days until he is forced to eat from your hand. No. To stay with an abuser because it was a sin to leave. Get a 2008 Jeep Commander, my father-in-law, who loves Jeeps. That thing broke down every 6 months. And it cost $3K to fix every time. And for an unrelated reason, we don't talk to him anymore. Friend told me to pull out student loans to buy cryptocurrency. I didn't listen, of course. He did it himself though and got burned on epic proportions. On the flip side, a friend put down his 50 grand house deposit on some crypto. 3 months later cashed out and bought his house cash. I feel like when we talk about that friend who went balls deep in crypto, it's either that they got burned really bad or they got very rich very quick. Both stories are equally entertaining. Marry a good Christian woman, because if she does what God says, she has to do what you say too. You, Uncle Jim. To smoke marijuana when I was having a bad anxiety panic attack. Shit made it 1,000 times worse. It felt like time had stopped and I was dying. Not to worry about wearing a condom with slutty girls, cause everyone else is cause they think she is slutty. Try Adderall. Both my brother and I had amphetamines pushed on us even though we were nearly perfect students. My brother became a zombie for the year he took it and it may have stunted his growth. I ended up taking them later in life and going down a 5-year-long rabbit hole of all-nighters and snorting orange powder. I don't even have a sense of smell anymore, and it took me years to rewire my brain. I just wanted something that could help me get through a college degree I wasn't excited about. And although I got something out of that time, I know I could have done it on my own. By the way, the movie Limitless. I had quit and I ended up relapsing after seeing it. It's not true. Discipline, routine, and exciting work can give you what you want from a drug. The drug just makes everything you're doing feel good, so you quickly lose your proper reward compass and end up digging holes to nowhere like a meth head. You're the slowest person on the team. You are not going anywhere. Maybe you quit. Thanks Mom. That didn't destroy my self-esteem or anything. You should try washing your face more. Thanks. I never thought of that. Cries into 15 bottles of moisturizers, exfoliators, and facial cleansers. But have you tried X product? Yes. It doesn't work for me. You have to use it daily. I do. You must not be using it right. Actual conversation at hairdresser. Don't do X. Because you're a girl. As in, don't whistle. It isn't ladylike. Don't chew gum or smoke. Both are unbecoming for a girl. Don't talk on dates. Listen, that is what boys find attractive. Didn't say. Don't join the army. I retired as a lieutenant colonel. When I was young, a teacher said to me, it's rude if you ask for something. You have to let them offer it first. My mom taught me this growing up and it gave me aggressive anxiety, resulting in me never asking for help when I need it. Don't fight back. They'll eventually stop. There's only one place to start, the top. My friend, roughly 45 minutes before I broke my leg during my first time ever snow skiing. Many years ago my mother told my two younger sisters who were 13 and 15 at the time to get pregnant ASAP to any boy their own age so they could get a benefit and child support for the next 18 years. Her reasoning was that the boys' parents would make extra hush payments to keep it quiet and her daughters would be able to be like her, jobless and paid by the state to stay at home doing nothing. It was actually good advice because both of my younger sisters are hard-working, highly educated women now in their 30s with decent partners who are only now looking at having children. That advice finally broke the hold she had over them and showed them what they didn't want to be as an adult. Just get pregnant and marry him. He will have to stop cheating if you do. God, am I glad I didn't listen to that. Never admit when you're wrong. The person I hate for how prideful and toxic he is says to me, "Tell our. You should just give him a chance." About my potentially violent stalker. Go to college so you don't end up as a plumber. Turns out the job security and job market in a trade profession is pretty nice right now, while my game design degree is going against a wall of shitty corporate policies and a highly competitive and saturated marketplace.